Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris. Misty, good morning. Thank you for being with us. Obviously a difficult video to watch and to unpack. Let's start with the verdict. So we mentioned second-degree murder conviction here. As we just heard, though, the family is very upset by that, does not think it was enough. Put this verdict in context with us. Do you think it's appropriate?
So this all came down to that body cam footage, which is incredibly difficult to watch. And the jury saw it many, many times throughout the trial. So for the defense perspective, they have to say, how are we going to deal with this? Because it is a very high burden. Prosecutors have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And their burden was, for first-degree murder, to prove that Grayson intentionally killed Massey.
Right.
Now, second-degree murder is a little different because this was self-defense. It's that he believed that there was a threat of imminent harm or death, but his belief was unreasonable. So it gave the jury an option to maybe say his actions were wrong, but he believed in the moment that he was right. And that's how we end up at second-degree murder. And Savannah, the only way to do that, because that's about his own perception in those moments at the time, was to put him on the stand. A risky move that I think ended up being the reason why you see this as second-degree murder as opposed to first-degree.
Absolutely. What did you think about that one, the risky factor of it?
I wasn't surprised that it happened because in a self-defense case, so much really hinges on what that person, especially when you're talking about a police officer, what they were perceiving in that moment. You can't go 20/20. It's not looking in hindsight. It's in that period of time.
Right.
Why they reacted that way. That's the subjective component of it. And the only way to really establish that is for that person to tell the jury. So it's either that there were interviews previously. Exactly. So in a self-defense case, you see the defendant taking the stand, especially when it's an officer, more often than in other cases where it's very rare to see a defendant testify.
I think one of the very difficult moments in the video we just played where she ducks behind the counter, and as Maggie pointed out there, that was kind of brought up as a de-escalation potential moment there. Leave, because she's done that, she's apologizing. Is the law clear about what a police officer's responsibility is when it comes to de-escalation?
So the law doesn't attack de-escalation specifically. What it says is that anytime a police officer uses force, it has to be reasonable and proportionate to the risk that is at play. So all of that then is put into account with police officer training protocols where they're taught about de-escalation procedures. And really, from the law's perspective, lethal force is your last resort. There has to be a risk that there is grave injury or death on the other side. So all of that comes into play, and that's why, Savannah, you see a lot of scrutiny over police training and protocols after these cases, and oftentimes, and in this one as well, you see changes being made by those police departments to fill in some gaps and to fill in training methods with respect to de-escalation to avoid these issues, which are horrific all the way around.
Moving forward, let's talk what could happen in sentencing. Does he have an option for appeal also?
So he does have an option for appeal. He was found guilty of a serious crime. It's second-degree murder. Sentencing, and I'm sure he will appeal because that's the general course with any defendant. Sentencing will be another hearing. The prosecution will present what's called aggravating factors. The defense will present mitigating factors. Ultimately, it will be up to the judge. And here, the sentence is up to 20 years. So you're talking about anything from probation to 20 years, as opposed to a first-degree murder conviction, which is 60, and then you could ultimately see life. So it's a very different sentencing maximum that we could see. But everything that came into play at the trial, Savannah, will also be factors that will be presented to the judge who oversaw this trial, so knows what happened in this case, saw the video, heard the testimony, and ultimately that judge will make the decision.
All right. Misty Marris, thank you so much. Great to have you.